All right, in the second part of this assignment, we are going to be looking at both solving for x and then finding the area of each triangle. So we're going to be using the Pythagorean theorem and then just our regular a equals 1/2 base times height to figure out the area. So in number 14, we are given the two legs and need to find the hypotenuse. And so that would be that x squared is equal to 65 squared plus 72 squared. And when we take and add those together and then square root, that is a perfect square, and so that x is 97. So that gives us the hypotenuse, and then the area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height, which is right here, and then that gives us 2,340 units squared. In number 15, we are given the hypotenuse and one of the legs and have to find the other leg. So we have x squared plus 39 squared is equal to 89 squared. And so when we subtract this, we get that x squared equals 6,400 and that x is equal to 80. Then we're going to use that. If x is 80 here, then we're going to do for the area 1/2 the base times the height. So that's going to be 1/2 of 39 times 80, and that's going to give us 1,560 units squared. All right, number 16. On the second row here, we are given the hypotenuse is 9, a leg is 6. We're looking for the other leg, and so we're going to say that 9 squared, 81, is equal to 6 squared, 36, plus x squared. Subtract 36 from both sides. We get x squared equals 45. The square root of 45 we know is 9 times 5, which gives us that x is equal to 3 times the square root of 5. And then we're looking for the area, and that is going to be 1/2 the base times the height. So we are 1/2 times 3 times the square root of 5 times 6. And that will give us 9 times the square root of 5 units squared for the area. Number 17. We are given the hypotenuse and one of the legs, and so we're going to say that x squared plus square root of 7 squared is equal to the square root of 19 squared. And so when we subtract that 7 from both sides, we're going to end up with the square root of 12, which is 4 times 3, which gives us x equals 2 times the square root of 3. Looking at the area then, it's going to be 1/2 the base, which we found to be 2 times the square root of 3, times the height, which is the square root of 7, and that is going to give us the square root of 21 units squared. Number 18, we're given a leg and the hypotenuse, and we're looking for the other leg. So we're going to have x squared plus 7 squared is equal to 9 squared, and we square, and then we're going to subtract 49 from both sides. We get x squared equals 32. When we square root of 32, that is 16 times 2, and so we end up with 4 times the square root of 2. Notice then when we go to do the area is 1/2 of 7 times 4 times the square root of 7, and that is going to give us 14 times the square root of 2 units squared. Number 19, it asks us to find the area of the bold triangle, so we're at the end going to look for the area of this triangle, but first we need to figure out the x here, so I'm going to look just at this triangle right here. And so we are given a leg and the hypotenuse, and we're looking for the leg. And so I'm going to have x squared plus 4 squared is equal to 12 squared. Squaring both of those and then subtracting 16, we get x squared is equal to 128. When I square root, 128 is 64 times 2, which gives us x is equal to 8 times the square root of 2. And so that is right in here. When I go to do the area then, I'm going to have to do 1/2, and then the base, I'll need to add these 4's together to get 8. And then, I'm sorry, the height I'll need to use is 8 times the square root of 2. The bases, I will need to add those together to get 8. Let me correct that real fast there. That should be an 8 there. Put that in as 8. And then when we do this, we're going to have that 1/2 of 8 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 32 times the square root of 2. So just to rewrite that to make it clear, that should be 1/2 times 8 times the square root of 2 times this 4 plus 4 in here, which would be 8. And that does give us 32 times the square root of 2. And that would be units squared. And then for our last one here, number 20, we are looking at finding all three, x, y, and z. And so first place where my eyes go is I look at this triangle here on the right, and I have a 6 and a 10, so I can figure out this side. So I'm given a leg and a hypotenuse. And so I'm going to say that that is 6 squared plus x squared is equal to 10 squared. And so when I square those, take 36 to the other side, I get x squared equals 64, and the square root is 8. So that's how I knew that that was 8. As soon as I knew that was 8, if I'm given this is 12, then I know this has to be 4. And once I know that that is 4, I now can take and say, well, if this is 4, that's a leg, and this is 6, that's a leg, and I'm looking for this hypotenuse. So I'm going to, over here, I did 4 squared plus 6 squared is equal to z squared. And when I do that, square both those legs and add those together, I get 52. And when I square root it, the square root of 52 is 4 times 13. And so that ends up with 2 times the square root of 13.